We are a group of care experts with a vision of creating a world where care experienced people are thriving, not just surviving.
We share our knowledge and experience to inform, uplift and empower young care experienced people to navigate the conflicts and challenges of life.
In this season, we cover a range of different topics, all with a focus on personal development, from relationships, mental health and trauma, thinking about success and reimagining the care system.
We know that some of these topics can be triggering, so before you listen, have a read of the summary so you can get an idea of what we'll be talking about. And as always, look after yourself and reach out if you need support. Hi all, and welcome back to Let's Talk Conflict. Today we're going to talk about all things charities. We talk a lot about charities in this season and how they can support us and the positive impact they have on us. So we wanted to dedicate an episode to this. We want to talk about our experiences and to break some stereotypes about what charities are and who they are for, as well as to support others and make others feel more comfortable to access charity support. So on today's episode, I have George with me, Shanika, Evie, Alice and Ash, as well as myself. And I'm Leanne, and I'll be hosting. Okay, so first question. So before you got involved with any charities, what did you think it was going to be like and what was it actually like?
So I had no idea about what it was going to be like to be involved in a charity. I think the first time I used one, I was 14 and I used NIAS, National Youth Advocacy Service. I had a complaint to make about a social worker and they helped me write the complaint. And I was really quite happy that I'd got that help because I ended up getting an apology, blah, blah, blah. But it helped me feel seen and it helped me feel supported, because if it was left up to me, there wouldn't have been a complaint written. Like, I'm dyslexic, and back then, you were lucky if I ever had a pen or a pencil in my hand. But that was like using charity services. When I actually became involved in being involved in a charity beyond using their services and actually doing ad hoc work for them as needed, that was really refreshing, because when I went for my interview to work with Become, I remember saying something about one of the experiences I had in care that wasn't very positive, and I voiced this opinion before around social workers, and I'd been kind of shushed up and gaslit about how I felt. But I remember at Become, I was stood in the office and I said what I said. And I kind of had this tension, oh God, here we go, they're going to gaslight me. And they all turned around and was like, oh, we know, it's terrible, isn't it? We hear this a lot from our service users. And I was just like, vindication, validation, yeah, it was really nice. And I just, I knew from that moment that it was going to be somewhere that I would spend a lot of time. It gives me information, it gives me purpose, and I mean, obviously I work with Leap 2 and it's the same thing. Really care about how I feel, care about how much we're able to give or am able to give, it's a really, really nice place compared to my ideas in the beginning. I thought it'd be quite formal and dead, if you know what I mean, but no, it's not. It's lively, it's fun, it's it's like a little family kind of feeling. It's nice.
Thank you, Alice.
No worries.
My first experiences actually using a charity was a charity called Bernardo's. They used to pay for my ferry tickets because I used to play a lot of tournaments. I used to live on the Isle of Wight, but I used to play a lot of tournaments on the mainland and stuff, and some were up north. It was crazy, but I would always have to get a ferry, and it was the ferry that was actually the most expensive part of the journey. And so they used to just pay for that and give me sort of ferry tickets when I needed, so I can go and play. Every person that I've met in a charity, they've always been really nice and always just wanted to support me and help me. And yeah.
Thank you, George. Evie, do you want to go next?
I was going to say, I don't think I necessarily had any thoughts of what it was going to be like working with a charity or what a charity is like in general. My thoughts was more so the type of person who accesses support from a charity.
the reason why I was like kind of held back in getting in touch with charity was because I didn't want to be seen as someone that was like pleading for help and someone that was desperate and someone that was like begging people for help. Like, you want to be able to try and sort things on your own type thing. But yeah, I think what held me back was, society's view of the type of people that access charities and like how you're seen by other people. Like, if you say, oh yeah, I'm using this charity to help me get to this place, like what other people's thoughts are going to be about that. But like you were saying, Alice and George, about like it being a community and the people being really nice, like it was so pleasantly surprising because everyone was so nice, like, and everyone is really nice. Like I don't know whether it's because like they care and that, that's why they're all so nice. Like, they choose to get into this job. It's not necessarily always best paid work, but it's fulfilling, and it's really, it can be a great feeling helping someone else. So maybe that's why everyone's so nice, like in the charity sector. I don't know, but it was really surprisingly, pleasantly surprising for me.
And Shanika, would you like to go next?
Yes. Similar to Evie, I didn't have an inclination of what a charity was. I just knew that it helped people. So I started back in secondary school. My first charity was a children's society. I was like a big sister. So I was going around helping the younger children in school. And I think from that experience, I carried on basically just getting involved and helping where I can. And it wasn't until like in the later part of my life, I actually got support from a charity in terms of like getting to work. So sometimes you don't even realize that you need support and you just carry on and do what you need to do basically. And then, at some point you kind of realize, oh yeah, I need help too. So yeah, that's my kind of journey.
Thank you, Shanika. Ash, would you like to say anything?
Similar to other people, I didn't really think about like what it would be like before I get involved. And I guess like I've been involved with like a few different charities, like doing different things. So like obviously like there's like advocacy and like they help support you and things like that and like your rights and entitlements. But then there's like other charities that like help you with like CVs or like work experience, or I don't know, doing like short courses or things like that. They were dead beneficial to me. Like, I done really well. And similar to what other people are saying, again, like everyone there is like, they do listen to you, like they want you to succeed, like they want you to do well, like they want everything going right for you. And yeah, they're just really passionate and they care.
Thank you. I can relate to everything that everyone said here. And for me, mine was a mixture between not even registering that what the charity could do for me. I first had a charity help me, similar to Alice's story with a social worker. I wanted to make a complaint and I went through the route using Current Voice. And that just really helped me initially have the process of actually having a positive thought towards a charity because I had no prior involvement. And because my result was quite satisfying, I had helpful, caring people within that charity. It just made me really want to get involved more with other charities and see what I could get out of it too. I think we have covered like some of why we wanted to get involved with a charity. We've touched on some barriers already, but I would like to discuss a bit widely about how some of these barriers could affect other people listening. And I'll go first. I think one barrier for accessing charities will probably be the lack of awareness about who it's for and how it can support young people, especially people in the care system. For me, I feel like a lot of charities, in my own experience, sometimes it can be bound to location and the availability of the service, having access as being one barrier. I don't know if anyone else can relate to that or can touch on anything else as a potential barrier.
I was just going to say, I'm from quite like a rural area, and like that was a barrier for me in the past, was like there wasn't necessarily any charities in my area. But I mean, one good thing to come out of, the whole lockdowns that we've had and things like that is being able to work like online remotely, and that's how I was able to get involved with working with charities, because lots of people now have expanded to working in different ways. Instead of just working in a room together, they've realised, well, actually, you can just get on a Zoom call or on a Teams call and do the exact same thing what you'd do in a room. Yeah, very similar things anyway. So yeah, it's like this podcast, how we've done it. Like, we've only met in person one time, and we've done all of this online remotely from our own homes. And it's because Leap's been able to work in a flexible way and be able to set these sessions up and everything, that we've been able to get together from all up and down the country. So I think it has been a barrier, but it's something that's like slowly but surely people are starting to work around. There are more online courses, there are more online programs to get involved in, lots more ways to access support online now. Like, lots of charities have really brilliant websites. Like, the first time that I stumbled across a charity was online, just searching for my rights and entitlements. Core and Voice got a brilliant website that was really easy to read. And like I said, they're a charity. And like Ash was saying before about advocates, that's actually how I got involved with a charity too, was I accessing one of their advocates to try and access my rights too. So yeah, I think it has been a barrier, like I said, but it's slowly getting better. Like, we can use the internet to our advantage now.
Yeah, I can second what Evie's saying. Like, me and George both grew up on the Isle of Wight, and if there was anything, we didn't know anything about it to begin with. And even like the national charities, like when I started working for Become, I mean, I've used their services as well, but one of the first things I said when I found out everything that they do is like, why didn't I know about you guys? It's like, why? I mean, I was in care, like I left care 10 years ago. So this was, I mean, obviously the internet existed and there were websites and stuff, but when I was like young in care, you know, like kind of early teens, the internet was, I don't know, I didn't really know how to use it properly. Like, I was on MSN and stuff like that. But yeah, it wasn't as wide as it is now. But yeah, being in rural parts like of the country, of the UK, I would maybe look for national charities, because then, you know, you're not going to ring up or, you know, message them and then be like, oh, sorry, you're out of the area, we can't help you. So yeah, like Become's a national charity, NIAS is a national charity. I'm pretty sure Reese Foundation is a national charity as well, and they can help you with stuff like driving lessons and money for gas and electric and all kinds of things. So, and there's no age limit on Reese either, Reese Foundation. As long as you're a care leaver, they'll help you. And I mean someone who's left care. But yeah, anyone who's been in care, they should help you in some way, or shape or form. And I find as well, because charities do help you and their interest is primarily you and getting your rights and entitlements heard or helping you in some way, I think social services were not as eager to let me know about some of the charities that were around, because it meant basically someone would be looking into why they weren't doing what they should be doing. So yeah, Google is your friend. You have to have a look for yourself in that way.
Again, yeah, like the geographical problems with that. I mean, it's also like, if you're in a situation where you haven't got so much money and like you don't know what to do, and there's a charity but you don't even know where it is, what it does, or anything, it can be quite a difficult like situation, especially if you're not aware. It was the same for me. As soon as I started getting involved with Become, I thought to myself, why didn't I know about this before? Why didn't anyone tell me about this kind of thing? And that's because it was so helpful. And, all the stuff that I've like sort of struggled with dealing with being in care, it's really been nice to kind of filter that through a charity. Yeah, as soon as you get involved, it's like, it's great. And those barriers can kind of like, I don't know, they're barriers that you can get over, especially now, like Evie's saying, because of the pandemic, everything's online now. So it's a lot easier to get involved.
Evie, go on.
Thank you. Another thing that I was going to say, like a thing for me that was a barrier previously to me, was like judgment of other people and like society's like stigma against people working with charities or charity users, and like there is that whole saying of like a charity case, and like I think people's perceptions are wrong about what it means for someone to be accessing support from a charity, because to be able to say, look, I need help in something, I need support in something, like, to me, there's a lot of strength in doing that. And it shows that, yeah, you're a really strong, resilient person to be able to say, well, actually, I need a bit of support in something, and to be able to turn to someone when you need to. So it's like, yeah, why not utilize these amazing organizations that are out there? Like, if it is hard sometimes, like you say, it's we don't always know about it at the right times, but you have to kind of be your own best friend and look out for what's out there for you. Like, do research, like you were saying, Alice. Google, like try and see what's out there. Word of mouth, speaking to people. You never know what having a conversation with someone might turn into. You know, people might know someone and know a charity or an organization that you could get involved in. So yeah, I think for me, like what I'm trying to say is I was definitely worried about what people would think about me getting involved with a charity, but to not worry about that, because at the end of the day, like, no one else is controlling your life, only you, and there's no one else that's going to be there at the end of it but you. So don't let other people's thoughts determine your actions, you know.
You know what? I have never ever considered, like, you're right, charity case and what people think. I never thought of that. In my mind, it was, what do I need this? How am I going to get it? That these people might be able to help me. Right, that's it, go. Like, I didn't even consider that. That's something that I never thought about. And I can imagine, yeah, that can be quite embarrassing. I'm the same with my care leaver status, though. I don't care who knows. It doesn't bother me. I'm kind of oblivious to a lot about like what people think. I don't really think about it, to be honest with you, which I should sometimes, especially in a professional setting. But yeah, no, I'd never considered that.
Go on, Shanika.
I just wanted to mention about trust. Being able to trust the organization might be an issue, because going through the care system, you're often let down a lot by professionals. So that can be a potential barrier.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, you just have to listen to your gut instincts and make sure that, you know, you research a charity well, you know, that they do things to actually safeguard you and stuff, so that, you know, you're in safe hands. But most charities are good. Like, they have certain standards that they have to meet. And especially to like get funding and all that, they have certain things that they have to do. So, and their PR, they have to make sure that they have a good public image. So most charities out there are good, but just for your safety, make sure that you're also doing your background checks on these.
Yeah. I'm just going to go back to the question on what have you actually got out of a charity and how has it helped you? So I'll just jump in quickly. I think for me, I've got a variety of things out of charities. And when I got involved, it's actually helped my confidence. Did a lot of public speaking to others, speaking to a lot of strangers in terms of like making friends. I think it's also helped me with my CV as well. It helped me really have structure, like fill in the gaps that, you know, sometimes that are not always explainable when you have a brief stint like I have in education, and I've had educational gaps. It's helped me get into uni, and it's actually showed that I'm very consistent as well. It reflects on that skill that I'm very consistent and I can stick to things, see it out, learn a lot of things like project management and leading. That's not the extensive list, but those are some of the things. As well as I've had fun. I've been able to have fun, go on trips, have residential break, and, you know, do creative things that I wouldn't always have been able to do, especially being care experience, that the creative part of us is sometimes stripped away and it's just work. So I've liked the balance, and I've liked meeting a lot of people such as her as well. So like, I've never did a podcast, and it's something that I can like look back and be really proud of.
I can go next about like what I've got out of being involved with, working with charities, because like genuinely there's so much. I mean, like mentioned previously, when I first got in touch with and involved with a charity, it was because, well, I knew that my local authority, the social services, was breaking the law, but I didn't know how to hold them accountable. Like, I had no power whatsoever compared to them. And so I accessed Core Voice's advocacy service, and they then advocated for me on my behalf, and they then got me in touch with legal advice. They got me in touch with a solicitor and a barrister, and like, they really fought my case really, really hard for me, and like managed to help me with quite a lot of things. They were able to help me and get results in certain things where, like, I knew that I would have never been able to do that if it was just me on my own emailing back and forth to the local authority. And like, not only did they like support me in that way, but they also got me in touch with LEAP. And so LEAP's involvement with me has been like completely different. Their side has been a lot more the personal development side, and learning about myself, gaining confidence, making like lifelong friendships, not only with you guys and, you know, with people that I've worked with on programs or whatever, but also the people that work at LEAP. I've made really special bonds through working with you all. And obviously now I work for LEAP. You know, I'd have never in a million years have thought, like when I first got in touch with Coram, that now I would be working for LEAP and that I would be giving conflict management training to foster carers and social workers and running creative programs with care experienced young people. You know, they really can help you progress and get to where you want to be. I knew I wanted to help people, and I knew I wanted to help care experienced young people, but I had no idea how to do it, and I didn't have a platform to do it, and I wanted to make a change, but I didn't know how to. And it's like LEAP has given me the kind of the wings to be able to do what I wanted to do. And, you know, like with the podcast, I feel like that we're advocating for people up and down the country, trying to say these are issues that young people face in care, leaving care. This is some of the difficulties that people go through. These are some of the things that are great about the care system that we need to support and things like that. And it's like, we're doing our bit to make a change. And without getting involved with the charity, I would have never had that opportunity to do that, because working at Next wouldn't have gave me that opportunity. So yeah, it's gave me loads. It really has. It's opened so many doors for me.
Thank you, Evie. Alice, did you want to add something?
Yeah, there's like so much that working with charities has given me that I'm not going to be able to list everything. But firstly, it was just like being in a space where my experience was not only recognised, but then not used, but my experience enabled the change, like the positive change. So if we identified what the bad experiences were, then identified the solutions to the issues of why those experiences were happening, and then they enabled me to like move forward in a way that we would try and stop these experiences happening for other young people in care. And that for me was like, you can end up quite bitter with the experiences that you've had in care, and letting those fester without any way of moving forward. Or, you know, you can't change the past, but maybe you can change the future for other children. And that's like one of the first things that working with charities involved in like care experience has done for me. Secondly is the friends that I've made. Like me and Leanne, most listeners won't know, but we are like best of friends, and we have only met once, and we have literally been friends now. What is it? Nearly 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah, we met at Become, and we've literally been best friends since. I've said this a couple of times. You know, care experienced people, they grow up, especially in rural areas, like in these dark little pockets of the UK, in the world. You know, the whole world if you think about it. But you know, I never had a community of care experienced people that were on my way, like, you know, on my level. And, you know, I'd say, oh, this happened to me in care, and everyone would be like, me too. And like, we often found that the reasons why we went into care were often quite different, but all of our experiences in care were often very similar. Sometimes you wouldn't even have to say, and you just get a look, and people be like, "Yeah, I know." Like you don't even have to like mention it. So yeah, that was great.
It's like you don't need to validate yourself. Like it's like the whole room acknowledges it. Like even if they weren't there, like, a beautiful thing. I do agree.
That's one of the best things. And also, like working with charities, you get this opportunity to speak to people that could actually influence the lives of basically all care leavers. Like I've had meetings with ministers, government ministers. So like literally at the top of the tree when it comes to making positive change that's going to improve the lives of care leavers and care experienced people. I found that great. Yeah, and also, with the care review, being able to speak to Josh McAllister, that was great too. There's so many things, like I literally can't even pick them out, but those are like the main 3 areas that have been like just great.
Thanks, Alice. And we'll go to Shanika.
Yeah, similar to Alice and Evie, charities have helped me a lot. Because from secondary school, I basically used charities as a way to kind of meet people, build my confidence. Because when it came to the world of work, even though I studied, there was no opportunities, there was no work. I had to go back to charities to get that experience when I couldn't get employment. And that I could add to my CV as well. And again, through charities, like being in care and wanting to go back and help. My hope was to go into social work to do that. That didn't work out. So now I'm actually going back into charities to kind of still kind of fulfill that side of myself, whereby I wanted to help care leavers and stuff. So yeah, charities are I would say very helpful throughout my life, basically. And we need them, especially when you're from a care background and you haven't got those networks, you haven't got those contacts and those links to get you into work. Because when I finished school, they had like this millennial volunteer program, and it was the way of getting any sort of experience when finishing school. So yeah, charities have been really helpful.
Like, see, thinking about it, like, what have I got from charities? Like, it's not something that I've actually thought about, but hearing everybody speaking, I'm thinking it's like similar to other people. Like, I've met like friends for life. Like, I've had experiences that I wouldn't necessarily had otherwise if it wasn't for the opportunities. It done a lot for like my confidence and things like that, and then getting like qualifications or like volunteering or work experience or actually gaining work with charities has been really good. Do you know what I mean? I think they're just brilliant, and I think there needs to be more of them. There needs to be more like youth groups, and there needs to be like advocacy, and it shouldn't matter if you're in like a small area, like there should be everywhere and access for everyone. But I know sometimes it's difficult. But for me, like they've done me like so much good. Like I've been able to like better myself. And another thing, like a charity, like there's no kind of like, see, once you're involved, you're kind of involved with them until you decide to go. Like there's no kind of like, oh, that's sure you're that age, you need to go type thing. So I think that's quite good. Like they genuinely do care about you and like want you to kind of succeed in life.
The age thing was a really good point.
Yeah, I agree. Especially part about like what Ash was saying about like they care, they want you to succeed. It's genuine and it's not forced either. And so, yeah, it's just a nice environment to be in.
And I just wanted to say as well, really quickly, that earlier I spoke about the things that the charity enabled me to do, but it's not only just what they do themselves, it's the kind of trajectory that you end up on from being involved in these charities. Like for example, my final major project at uni was centered around care experience and developing sustainable housing and a preparation for adulthood program. And now I'm going to go and do a master's that literally hinges on creating a program for preparation for adulthood and what's the magic ingredients we need to be able, so when you're 18, you're not falling off the care cliff, And I honestly don't think that would be where I was going if I hadn't have got into helping people with care experience through the charities and seeing how it's not just my experience, it's a collective and this is a problem and it needs to be fixed and how can I do that? And not just, now I'm like, oh, I work with charities, yeah, and I'll help where I can. But now I'm like, okay, I'm going to now go and develop something so that I can have my own charity and I'm going to now help people myself. Like, I don't need the other charities so much anymore to give me a platform for my voice. These 5 years of working with charities, I've got my voice now, and people kind of know who I am in various charities, and I feel like it's kind of like a jumping point now. Like, I'm going to go off and try and do my own thing, and I don't feel like I need the amplification that I get from other charities. I feel strong now, and I feel like my voice matters, and I don't feel like I'm just stood saying it and no one's listening. So yeah, it's not just in that moment what you get from the charities, it's the trajectory you end up on, it's the journey that you end up on.
I couldn't agree more with that, Alice. So the final question would be, what would you tell your younger self in relation to what you know now about charities? Should I go? What I would tell myself is that don't restrict yourself to just one charity. See what's out there. Not all charities have to be about being care experience. There's a variety of charities, and go where like your interests lie as well. Make sure it's fun for you, and make sure you really enjoy showing up. Make sure you engage as much as you can and get as much out of it as they will you. So I think those would be my pointers. And there's never too many you can join. Like it's not like restrictive in that sense.
I was just going to say, like, what I tell my younger self was probably don't be worried about it and just get involved, because it's given me so many opportunities, and I've been able to influence so much, and that was all facilitated through charitable work, and charities. So that's just one thing.
Thank you, George. Alice, do you want to go?
Yeah, so the thing I would tell my youngest self is to definitely get involved with charities, find out what's out there. It would have been great if I'd have known about them back then, because I feel like some of the damage that was done wouldn't have happened if I'd have had like the gravity of a charity behind me advocating for me and helping me out. And I just wish I'd have got involved sooner. That's like, and obviously, like Shanika touched on earlier, with making sure that they're the right kind of charity and that they're looking out for you. And like, for example, it will look like debriefing sessions after you've had your work with them. So like, they make sure that you're okay, they ask you certain questions, they make sure that you don't have to share things that you don't want to. At any point after you've shared it, you're allowed to withdraw. I don't actually want that out there. Take that back. Unless you're saying it like live on air, for example, then really think about what you're saying. But yeah, like, it's just kind of aftercare and making sure that you're fully aware of what it is that you're talking about and letting out. And do you know what? Sometimes if you do say something that you don't even necessarily think is maybe oversharing, they can be like, are you sure you want that out there? Just making sure, for example, like, we have wellbeing sessions after the Zooms sometimes, just to make sure that we're all okay, just checking in. Just make sure that you're getting as much from the charity as they're getting from you. Like, make sure it's like a symbiotic relationship, and make sure that when you feel, after you've done the work with them, as long as you're feeling happy and like you've achieved something, I would say that's a good sign. If you're feeling quite, if you're feeling deflated or stressed or anything like that, and they're not providing you with some aftercare, or at least showing you where to go to get some aftercare, that would then be a bit of a warning sign for me. But yeah, that's me done.
I completely agree. Who else wants to go?
I can go next. So I completely, fully agree with everything that you've just been saying, Alice. And very similar to yourself, like, I wish that I'd have got involved with charities when I was younger too. So like, that is something I would say to my younger self, and also to like any younger listeners that may not be involved with charities. Like, don't be afraid, don't be worried about what other people might think. And that's what I'd say to my younger self as well. Like, don't worry whatsoever about anyone else's opinions, because it means sod all to your life. Like, go out there, see what there is out there, and genuinely you'll have some amazing experiences. And if you don't, like, there's nothing keeping you in touch with like these people. Charities are very much happy to be like, okay, if this isn't for you, like, that's fine, you don't have to stay with us. So just try it and see, because you might be really, really pleasantly surprised and end up getting some really amazing experiences and learning some amazing things about yourself and some making really good friends, like having opportunities, like doors open for you. So yeah, just go for it. Don't be afraid. Just go for it.
Agree. Thank you, Evie. Shen, would you like to add anything?
I just want to say, agree with what everybody said, especially what Ali said at the end. So what I would say to my younger self is, take support, because I used to just usually give a lot to charities. I never used to actually see myself, oh, I need support, until when I really needed a job, I was like, oh yeah, I need to actually get support from this charity. So just be open, take support, realize when you need support as well, because they're set up there to meet a lack within society. They're there for a reason. They're there to support us, and the reason is that there's people that need that support. So don't be ashamed to take it. So that's what I would say to my younger self, and just make sure that you're looking after yourself, even if others are not. Making sure that you look after yourself as well.
Beautifully said, Shanika. And Ash, is there anything that you would like to add?
I think like a lot similar to what other people said. Like for me, like I wish I got advocacy sooner, because I think I could have done with the support sooner, with like rights and entitlements and things like that. And then with charities, like where it's like helped like my CV or like helped me with work or things like that. I wish I got involved with them sooner, but I wish I took them kind of more serious at the time, because I think like I was just kind of like, oh, I'm here and I'm chilling with my friends. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like, see, thinking back, I'm like that, like, oh my God, like I've actually done so much with charities. And it's like, I can't actually picture my life without them at this point. Like, I know there will be a point, but yeah, it's the opportunities and the experiences for me. Like, I'd wish I'd got more or had them sooner.
Like, you may go into a charity needing, but the great thing about charities is you often leave not needing anymore. I feel like that word charity case that Evie said earlier, like, it's been kind of playing on my mind. Like, I really didn't think of it like that. But yeah, like when you go to charities, you're vulnerable, you need what charities should do is provide you with not only support but tools to be able to like support yourself. So when you do come to the time where you're not as involved with them, or you don't need their help anymore, like that's the goal. And being able to do that is gonna make your life easier to live, basically. So yeah, that's the great thing about charities.
I just want to say it's okay as well, like for us to be vulnerable and needy. Like, this is the reason why these charities exist, because it happens to everyone at some point in their life. So like, if you can kind of get rid of that negative stereotype of wanting to access help or wanting to ask someone for support or something, the sooner the better, because at the end of the day, everyone has struggles. Like, it's human. Like, so we should be able to like accept it and not feel awful about ourselves and not be ashamed, like Shanika was saying. Don't be ashamed.
Yeah. But one final point I'd like to make is that working with Leap specifically has, I think, given us the biggest platform for our voices, because obviously we get statistics back from who's listening to the podcast, and we've got people obviously from the UK and all the way out in the Philippines, USA, Canada, listening to our podcasts, and obviously professionals in the sector as well, and that's amazing. Like, I never thought that like my voice would be that far, echoed out into the ether, or whatever you want to call it. But I think like just being able to speak with people that are care experienced as well, and have that like shared healing within our experiences, and being in a safe space has been really cathartic for me. And I really, it's invaluable. I really can't like put into words how priceless this experience has been. And I really, really hope that this podcast not only reaches the professionals of like the care sector, but young people as well, because that is literally primarily why we're doing this. We want to give the tips and tricks and the support that we never had when we were younger to people in a similar situation.
Thank you, Alice. Okay, I think we've wrapped up everything. Thank you everyone for listening to our podcast. I hope you find this really useful, and you take a lot of tips and go out and seek a charity if you haven't done already, or consider it, because it can benefit you a lot as well as give you a lot of opportunities. I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Thank you for listening all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Conflict.
We'd love to hear from you, so if you'd like to get in touch, you can reach us on letstalkconflict@leapcc.org.uk or find us on Twitter and Instagram at leap_cc.
This podcast has been produced in partnership with Leap Confronting Conflict and edited by Helena Webb.
Let's Talk Conflict has been supported by the Esme Fairburn Foundation, the Kurt and Magda Stern Foundation, the Treebeard Trust and the Rain Foundation.
Next week, we explore how we would redesign the care system. We address some of the key issues in the current system and what needs to be in place to support young people to thrive.